Tonight, Mandy's out due to medical issues, so county attorney will be doing the minutes tonight. Everybody stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence. Okay. Need approval of the agenda.
Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as posted.
Second. All in favor? All right. Need approval of December 2nd, 2021 special minutes, December 10th, 2021 special minutes, December 14th, 2021 special minutes, December 14th, 2021 regular minutes, December 20th, 2021 special minutes. Approved. Everybody have a chance to look at them?
Let me ask, we got physical copies here. Are these the same minutes that were emailed to us in our packet, or have they been altered?
To the best of my knowledge, they are the same, sir. I did have duplicates that Mandy gave us.
Okay. So working on the assumption that these are the same that were emailed to us, I'll make a point to say that I make a motion that we approve the minutes as they were submitted to us in our electronic packet.
I'll second that. Discussion, all in favor? Next is public comment, and number one is Tony Ponder.
Gentry, Chairman Snelson, members of the board, I'd like to address the COVID-19 issue. We need to be released from the fear surrounding it. I noticed on the county health website that there are numerous references to lockdowns, masks, and getting an experimental vaccine. This may be good, but there's nothing addressing early treatment. I would like to suggest that our health department recommend ways to address the dreaded COVID-19 illness. We don't seem to be getting any competent leadership from our alphabet health agencies in Washington. It's constant wall-to-wall vaccine. That is questionable in safety and tends to cause new variants. All we're getting is fear-mongering and double talk from either incompetent or clueless medical bureaucrats. I'm forced to ask, are Washington health agencies pawns of big pharma? We sorely need new leadership to beat this pandemic. What I propose is that our health department posts ways to combat this illness on its website. In the local paper, the department could also suggest protocols for early treatment. As you know, 80% of the COVID-19 deaths occur in those past 65. For treatment, hydrochloroquine and ivermectin have been ruled out. Why? A friend of mine asked me why so many more Americans are dying from this virus than are dying in third world countries. According to Robert Kennedy Jr., America has 4% of the world's population and 20% of the COVID-19 deaths. We get no early treatment. So what am I recommending? Get together with our health director to figure an early COVID-19 treatment protocol. Safe, effective, inexpensive early treatments are available, even without HCQ and ivermectin. A list of other inexpensive treatments can be found on the internet. I do not profess to be a doctor or offer medical advice. You may want to check with a medical doctor to give a protocol more weight. That is, if we can find a brave MD that is not afraid of losing his or her license to a rogue medical licensing board. So Manager Gentry, I urge you and the commissioners to get together with Director Cody on this critical matter. I believe that we can beat this pandemic. Let's cut through the fear mongering and hysteria and put much needed early treatment plan in place. A free society cannot survive in a sea of constant fear.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up is Mr. Mark Cody.
Sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. Not to take away from comments to be made later by Judge Baker, I want to make some comments concerning the $3.8 million that Madison County is set to receive from the state that's earmarked for courthouse renovations / construction. I make these comments on behalf of our Chief Resident Superior Court Judge Gary Gavanis, our Chief District Court Judge Ted McIntyre, our elected District Attorney from the 24th Judicial District Seth Banks, myself, and my staff that works at the courthouse on a daily basis. First, I believe in giving credit where credit's due. So I want to thank you all as commissioners for the role that you played in securing these funds. It was badly needed, and I appreciate the role that you've played. Next, I want to suggest that you all appoint a board or a study committee to try to come up with a best plan of action for the use of these funds for the citizens of Madison County. It makes sense to me if you appoint all or some of the people I mentioned earlier. All are willing to help, all are willing to serve in any capacity that you would feel would be appropriate, including myself and my staff, who some are here tonight. Just as a note, I think you all would be wise to speak with our district attorney or one of the judges that I mentioned about construction and renovation projects that may have happened and took place in some of our neighboring counties. The ones of those that didn't involve stakeholders in the planning, you can talk to them about the results that came out of some of those projects. Also, your board, if you choose to form such a committee, I think members of your board should be part of that committee, and whomever else you feel like that could bring knowledge and expertise to the table. Now, renovations are not going to be completed in months, as you all know. It's probably going to be in years. County managers change, board members change. So we ask that the board set guidelines where these funds have to be used for the sole purpose at the courthouse. Whomever's in charge at the time, we ask that you all try to set those guidelines. Opportunities like this don't come along very often. So I want us to make the best of this opportunity. Now, I know the suggestions that I've made to you all are just suggestions. The ultimate decision will be left up to you all as a board. And I thank you and appreciate you for listening, all right?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Judge Baker.
Well, just to clarify, we're moving out of public comment now, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there was only two.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to limit Judge Baker to 3 minutes.
Now, you got a minute and a half.
I'll talk very quick then. Thank you very much, and I think it's very appropriate that I speak directly after Mark Cody, because I am going to speak on the same subject. I'm here also to express thanks to the commissioners, and I'm not sure exactly who to thank, so I'm just going to thank all of you collectively for what has happened in Madison County. It's a wonderful thing, and I want to just express my thanks to those of you who had a part in this. Now, unlike Mark, who spoke directly on behalf of the senior resident judge and the chief district court judge and the district attorney, and of course himself, the clerk of court, I'm here as nothing more than a citizen, but someone who has had connections with the courthouse for all of my adult life, and I can even remember going there as a 4-H club member when I was a child. So I have had a lot of connection with the courthouse. As you all know, our state budget, Senate Bill 105, which was signed into law in November, contains grants for 16 North Carolina counties. And apparently this money is to come out of the State Capital and Infrastructure Fund for county courthouse repairs and renovations. And our own county, Madison County, was one of those counties. The amounts ranged from $250,000 to $59 million, and Madison County was, as you've heard and as you know, granted $3.8 million. With this amount of money, we can indeed repair and renovate our courthouse. Our courthouse is, as you know, over 100 years old. It was turned over to the county for use after construction was completed in July of 1908. The contract price of our courthouse was $25,698.35. Our courthouse is now one of the oldest courthouses in daily use in the state of North Carolina. And frankly, its age is now showing. Much work has been done, and as the clerk said, I do thank this board and past boards, including a board I was on, for work that has been done on the courthouse to maintain it. And I think everyone who regularly uses the courthouse appreciates the work that's been done. But so much work that really needs doing has just been put off in the past due to cost and due to difficulty. And I'm not blaming anyone. We didn't have the money, and we didn't have perhaps the staff or time to do some of the work that has been needed doing in the past. And I'll give you some examples. A study that was done on our courthouse and on other courthouses in the state recommended immediate action on our courthouse. And those are the words from the study, in multiple areas, including rewiring, insulating, better fire and detection systems, and very importantly, the construction of emergency exits. As you may know, our courthouse does not have a single emergency exit. It has a front door and it has windows that supposedly could be broken out of, I guess, and people jump through. It was also recommended as immediate action in this courthouse study that I'm talking about that a courthouse annex be constructed or obtained to provide for a second courtroom for district court and other needed spaces. Now, gentlemen, this study I'm citing from was done in 1978, and these immediate recommendations were believed to be needed to help our courthouse remain in use until 1985, until major work could be done to extend its life to the year 2000. Now, I'm not going to attempt to describe in detail the current situation of our courthouse. There have been many improvements to our courthouse since I've been working there. Its heating system, its air conditioning system, its security system, and more have been improved. But much more work needs to be done. The walls in various areas are simply crumbling. The plaster is just crumbling to the floor. Courthouse employees have resorted to putting up posters on the walls just to cover the peeling paint, the crumbling plaster, and the mold, yes, mold, in the very offices that they work in every day. The windows are the original single-pane glass windows, wooden frame, and cold air can easily be felt coming around from all of the windows in all the courthouse. And while the furnace has been replaced and does do a good job, the loss of heat is forcing the employees in the courthouse to use space heaters and electric heaters in addition to the oil radiator heating. Now, I could go on and on, but I'm not going to take up your time to do that. I would simply invite you all, if you've not had a chance to do so or haven't done so lately, to take a critical tour of the courthouse, to see these things for yourselves, and to discuss the problems with the clerk and also with the clerk's staff. As recently as today, and I'm not making this up, multiple staff members were experiencing nosebleeds, either from unusually dry air or worse. The $3.8 million can help us bring our courthouse into the 21st century, even though we're a quarter into it already. It needs significant reconstruction, it needs significant renovations and repairs, and now we have the funds to do it. At really no cost at all to our county. This is a grant given to us, as it states on its face, for one purpose, for repair and renovation to the Madison County Courthouse. Now, it does not appear to me that the 3.8 million figure was a random amount for the grant. It appears that there have been some studies done for the needs of our courthouse and to determine the need of renovation, much more recent than the 1978 study that I quoted from earlier. There was a 2015 study that was done by Paget and Freeman Architects for the Madison County Commissioners, and it proposed a four-part renovation, with part 1 to be done immediately, part 2 to be done in 1 to 3 years, part 3 to be done in 4 to 6 years, and part 4 to be done in 7 to 10 years. 7 years have passed since that proposal was done, and therefore we are in part 4 of that time period already. The study, however, was for repairs and renovations on a much smaller scale, I believe for about $614,000, recognizing the financial limitations of our county at the time it was done. And I'm also confident that a more recent study has been done, and that recent study is where the 3.8 million figure came from. I have not seen this study, but I have seen a proposal from SKA Consulting Engineers in Asheville for structural engineering services, for its services, and in its proposal it does mention a project expected to cost $3.825 million. I've also seen a proposal from SUD or SUD Associates Consulting Engineers, and it also mentions an anticipated renovation project for the Madison County Courthouse of $3.825 million. Now, those reports were dated a year ago, in January of 2021, and the state budget was not passed until November of 2021. So obviously a $3.8 or $3.825 million figure has been in existence and for some time from a study done over a year ago, I'm sure. And that study I would certainly believe is in existence, and I would hope it's in the county possession now. Now, gentlemen, I hope that you feel, as many others do, that we've been given a wonderful gift of a grant, and it is in fact a gift. To repair and renovate our historic courthouse, something we've never been able to do before in other than with small or relatively small projects. We need to use this grant or we will lose the grant. And this is not a Band-Aid type project. $10,000 or $20,000 on our courthouse might be a Band-Aid project. But this is not a Band-Aid. $3.8 million is major reconstructive surgery. Now, I would urge the county commissioners to proceed without delay to make plans for the massive renovation that we now can afford. And just as the clerk did a few minutes ago, I would suggest the commissioners consider appointing a committee of those who work in and work with the courthouse, and others who might spend the needed time going over proposals and considerations and needs. This committee could make recommendations to the county commissioners for your all's ultimate decision, or the committee could carefully examine existing plans that have already been done and hear from those who made the plans to ask suggestions, ask questions, and again, report to you commissioners for the ultimate decisions. Let me close by saying that I believe most everyone would agree that Madison County could benefit from a new courthouse. We could use a judicial center like many of our surrounding counties have. I think of Jackson County, for instance, that had a courthouse almost exactly like ours, built or designed by the same architects and built within just a few years of ours. But now they have a modern judicial facility that you can see as you drive through Jackson County. But we do not have a judicial center. We have our 114-year-old courthouse, and we don't have the $30 million or more that it would take to construct a judicial center. Someday we may build another courthouse or a judicial center, but I believe that that is years or decades away. We must do the best we can, and now we have the ability to fix our current courthouse and make our own situation better. We have absolutely no reason at all not to use this grant as it has been given to Madison County. We most definitely cannot build a new courthouse for $3.8 million, but we can certainly fix up the one that we have. Gentlemen, finally, again, I don't know who to thank exactly for whatever was done from our county to bring our needs to the attention of the General Assembly so that we have been given this $3.8 million grant. I am, though, very excited about the future of this courthouse that I feel like I practically grew up in, and as all citizens should be, I'm very grateful. We must not let this opportunity go to waste. This is an express grant to our county with a named purpose, the repair and the renovation of our courthouse. That is what we must do, and that's what I urge you all to do immediately. Finally, in closing, if you would just please look at your agenda for a moment. You will see on the agenda is the county seal, and in the direct center of the county seal, you see the Madison County Courthouse. The Madison County Courthouse is a central part of our county. It touches everyone's lives in one way or another. Whether you serve on jury duty, whether you become involved in a lawsuit, whether you are a witness in a lawsuit, whether you have an estate that needs work or anything else, the Madison County Courthouse is something that touches all of our lives. It's something that people see when they come into the county. And when they walk in the courthouse, they see a lot of things that I wish they didn't have to see. We now can fix that courthouse, gentlemen, and there's no reason in the world for us not to do it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda is Abby Norton, Town of Hot Springs Mayor.
Hi, Abby.
Hello, Miss Abby.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank you all for the opportunity to come before you.
Abby, now if ever, but speak up a little bit, or that mic won't pick you up.
Okay. We want to ask the county for, you got $12 million from the state for infrastructure needs. And you know that Hot Springs also got a $1 million appropriation for infrastructure. But we're here tonight, we want to ask the county for $3 million to help upgrade our infrastructure. We need a new plant, a new sewer plant. Karen is here with me, Karen Keena, I think you all know her, and she has the details. She works with McGill, and they're our accounting firm. I just want to say, let you know that our town budget is $826,300. And of that, our water sewer budget is $266,500. That makes it hard for us to be able to afford to upgrade our sewer plant. And to also let you know that we are we're listed on the Bible Utility Reserve as a distressed unit. Now I'd like for Karen to come up and give you the details on that, and thank you.
Thank you. Evening, Karen.
Good evening. How are you all?
Good. How are you?
Seen some of you in quite a while. As Abby said, I work. I'm Karen Keena. I live in Mars Hill, and I am not only a resident, but I also enjoy working in the county. as often as I possibly can. Tonight, the town of Hot Springs is, we all know with the ARPA funds or the American Rescue Funds, is requesting that the town of Hot Springs, and I believe I provided everyone a copy of this narrative, they own and operate an 880,000 gallon per day water treatment plant. The plant is more than 45 years old and is in need of major upgrades and expansion. Current flow with the plant exceeds 80% of the permitted 80,000 GPD plant capacity. Therefore, the plant must be expanded. A design flaw of 160,000 GPD to 200,000 GPD is needed to meet the 20-year growth demands of the region. The ability to accept additional wastewater flow and to support economic growth is critical for the town of Hot Springs and Madison County. Hot Springs is crucial to the continued development of tourism for Madison County and the resulting positive economic impact. Upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant to accommodate the economic growth and improvements to the sewer collection and treatment system are critical to the protection of the water quality for the French Broad River, Spring Creek, and to enhance the opportunity for economic growth. The town received a $1 million special appropriation for the upgrades of the wastewater treatment plant. Total estimated cost for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade is $2.5 million. The town is requesting that Madison County allocate or assign $1.5 to $2 million of the county's the county entity budget special appropriation to Hot Springs project to match the town's special appropriation. So what that would bring them to that $2.5 to $3 million. Hot Springs has also been approved for an emergency loan from the North Carolina Division of Water Infrastructure for upgrades to the Spring Creek Sewer Pump Station, which continues to have operational issues, and the repair of gravity sewer line along Spring Creek adjacent to the Spring Creek Tavern. This is an area where, as Spring Creek floods on a fairly regular basis, this area has continued to see significant washouts that have actually encroached on the creek banks and adjoining businesses. The request from the Madison, the total appropriation approved emergency loan is $441,825. The town is requesting that Madison County allocate or assign $500,000 of the county's NC budget special appropriation to Hot Springs for the project to allow the town to forego the emergency loan from the Department of Environmental Quality, DWI. Thirdly, the town of Hot Springs is received an allocation of $170,000 in funds for the APR funding program. These funds will be designated to for improvements to the town's water and sewer system, including the projects that have been described above. Madison County also received the $4,220,000 in funds from the ARPA funding program. The town of Hot Springs is requesting that the county consider allocations of some of these funds up to $500,000 to fund the needed water treatment plant upgrades and expansion. The next section I have provided, as everyone knows, the town of Hot Springs has been a resort area since the 1800s, and the first hotel was built in 1837. It has been a tourist destination since that time. The state tourism information from North Carolina shows that the origin of overnight stay, the majority, or now up to 50% of, as of last year, data shows that our visitors are from North Carolina. It also shows that 91%, and it dropped down last year because of COVID, 91% of this leisure visitation is within the community. The mode of transportation that is used, that is 94%, has gone from in 2018 to 2020, is motor vehicles. Why are people coming to the state, and why do they come to visit the Hot Springs area? They're visiting relatives, they're shopping, and number 3 in 2018 was they went to the beach. In 2019, it was very similar, that they were visiting relatives, shopping, going to the beach. And then we started seeing increases in rural sightseeing, fine dining, visiting friends, and the number 5, hiking and outdoor recreation and backpacking. In 2020, again, during COVID, we're seeing a gradual increase in wanting to see the outdoors. Significant recreation, particularly during COVID, is that individuals and families, they wanted to get out and see nature. And what better place than to come here? So additional information is the length of time that folks are staying. You'll see that time, visitation time is increasing from in-state to, and then it dropped again in 2020, but it's gone from 2.5 days to 3.1, and then we did see a minor decrease in 2022. What is it that folks are wanting to do what is the employment base that is supporting that tourism? And is our highest employers? It's food service, lodging, auto transportation, and that is because people are using vehicles, and recreation. Those are the top employment bases that are growing in the state of North Carolina. Again, you'll see that I gave you 3 years of that flow. What are visitation spending in the state? While it went down last year, it was a steady increase of 5% over the past 5 years. In 2018, it was 69 million. It did drop down to 55 million in 2020, but they're expected to jump back up again. What taxes it does generate? Tourism and outdoor recreation is, in 2019, it was 5,900,000. On the next page, I provided you what Hot Springs, actually from their visitor center, is being able to show you the number of persons that actually came to town and visited the visitor center and their visitor center data. So the year total for 2021 was 23,453. So the users of their internet access is also there provided to you. The reason I provide you with all this detailed information is that this water and sewer system for the town of Hot Springs is what supports all of this tourism activity within the town of Hot Springs. We're seeing the increases in lodging. We're seeing the increases in the need in the community and the state and across the nation, the embracing of outdoor recreation and outdoor adventure. This water and sewer system, as we stated, is over 45 years old. It is struggling. The town is a year-round population of around $600,000. But as you can see, they're weekly persons that come and visit the town overstresses the town's infrastructure, and it is a critical need. The town of Hot Springs outdoor activities and the county, growing county outdoor activities, doesn't only impact or benefit the town of Hot Springs. You have lodging all over the county, and again, that is also increasing. So that you'll see additional information in here for you and how the direct spending then translates into the total economic impact. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer what I can. I'm also going to provide you with the raw data that this came from.
I know back when I was on the board in the early 2000s, we put in for that grant in Robbinsville, ended up getting it, and it was actually $1 million, so it went up about $2 million since the early 2000s.
Right.
For a new sewer.
And it is, outdoor recreation now is one of the fastest growing industries that we are seeing in the United States. And it's not just a generation from 40 and younger. It is across the board. It's just the level of activity or how an individual for the 50 plus, it is short hikes for younger generation is, rafting, kayaking. It's just what level of interaction they want to participate in outdoor recreation.
And there's a festival about every weekend, starting from April till September, October.
Right.
And normally, sometimes that brings 3,000 or more.
You're absolutely correct. While the Hot Springs Spa has decided this year not to have any festivals,
Overnight festival.
overnight
Yeah.
festivals, but day festivals are still included. That was exactly what it, I'm your community. But, yes, I think, this is great data. It's telling us where the town's going, and they just need your support to have the infrastructural support to be able to support the continued growth of outdoor recreation in the county.
Karen, isn't it pretty safe to say that, based on my understanding, that the waste treatment facility down there is in critical need? It's not just we're doing some
It
routine
has been
maintenance
for a while.
upgrade,
No.
that we are in a critical state, that we as a county and they as a town have got to do something pretty quickly and pretty significantly, as far as expense to bring it up to a place where they need to continue to maintain it.
You're absolutely right, Commissioner Garrison. Absolutely right. It is, they're in a critical and emergency situation for the treatment plant.
With no way of writing a check, because it's not there.
Yet you got 500 people that live there.
Yeah.
You said the budget
600 people.
was 800,
800,000 is the town's budget.
826,000 is the town's
That's the
yearly
total
budget.
budget.
That's their total budget.
266,500 is the water and sewer part of that.
The
So
water sewer
1/3.
enterprise fund, right. And that's where these improvements should be, if you follow the LGC's guidelines. Their improvements for water and sewer should be allocated out of a $200,000 budget, because it is a separate enterprise fund budget.
has there been any other, because this question will come up, I'm sure, any other avenues sought as far as other grants or funding opportunities to subsidize some of this incurred expense?
That is where we were able to get DEQ, the Division of Water Infrastructure, to come forward with the loan of $400,000.
Right.
Which is a very low interest loan.
As far as the actual wastewater treatment plant, we can't actually get a grant because we're on the river.
That was
Yeah.
That plant is too close to the river to get a grant, so we would have
30
to
feet from
get
it.
a loan for that. And, $226,000, it's gonna take forever to pay back $3 million.
Sure.
So
If we can.
what, and Abby I couldn't have a better segue. To secure grants, that particularly if they're federal grants, due to the NEPA, environmental protection and regulations, you are not to rebuild structures within a floodway. And of course, that wastewater treatment plant is right in the middle of a floodway. So it really limits our ability to access federal funds without trying to completely relocate the facility, which then would increase the cost for a brand-new facility from the $3 million that we're looking at. We would have to start from scratch.
There's potential here for not a catastrophic, but a huge environmental impact
Oh, yes.
should this not be addressed pretty readily.
Absolutely. EPA would not be happy.
And not only the sewer, but the water. They've had 2 wells.
Right.
And they're outdated. 20 years, would you say, their
Yes.
lifespan has?
Yeah.
So
And
that's how they get the water. They used to get it off of, gosh, what's that called down there, Boys Home Road?
the sand filtration site,
Yeah, what's that called? Ed?
Bubbling Springs,
What?
Bubbling Springs.
Bubbling
on-
Springs. It's
Springs.
just water coming out of the drain.
Right.
That's the reason we have to quit using that beside the railroad tracks, and they can't figure out where that water's coming from. But it's just an endless bunch
very
of
clear-
water just bubbling out of the ground. Yeah,
having visited the site and actually drank that water.
yeah. We drank it for years.
It is absolutely clear water. And what was it, up till the 1960s? That was the town's water source.
Yeah.
What kind of timeline are you looking at as far as if you had funding in
If
move forward.
if you got on it right now, what timeline would you be looking to be able to get this done? Well, to start it.
As soon as possible.
I can give you,
I would have to-
Where's the plans for the replacement? Is that what's in the blue folder?
no, that's the data, tourism data. Keith
Okay.
Webb, the project engineer that is the vice president of McGill, has been working with Abby and myself through this entire process. And knowing what paperwork we have to submit to Department of Environmental Quality to, as you've seen, there's a single page. It's a very, very simple application that you just have to document and provide a very specific detailed activity line item by line item for each project. Once that's submitted, I can't say that an exact month, but that process will probably be complete. I think the applications have to be in by February. Then after that, the town could be given authorization to go out to design the project in detail and then put it out for construction bid. So it is a very fast track process.
But here's my areas of concern. One is the very first line on this request says the estimated cost to upgrade the system is $2.5 million. But you're asking us for $4 million and you've already gotten $1 million. Now, when we first started talking with the state, we were told at that time that $1 million would fix the system, $3 million would replace the system.
And I think that is still true. My understanding of that upgrade is 2.5 million.
And then $1 million of that will be from the Hot Springs appropriation and the state.
Right, but you're still asking the county for $4 million.
No, we're asking for $3 million.
Two and five.
2 and 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
2 and 500 for these each projects.
okay, so I see it. It's still $3 million, but okay.
Yeah.
Just two little follow-up questions. Did I catch that McGill is the one that's the engineering firm you're using to?
Yes.
Yes.
And I just want to clarify that. And that federal funding through like U.S. Department of Agriculture is not feasible because it'd be federal grant funding, which you're in a floodplain and they would require you to totally build a new
Yes.
structure.
And we don't have anywhere else to put a new.
I've worked, in working with the town for nearly 20 years, in addressing their challenges, in various ways. I've worked, had long conversations with USDA on potential loans and grant funds. That was how we were able to, make the necessary repairs to the forestry, campsite that is now where the town's, fire department and emergency management is. But the limitation is the wastewater treatment plant's location.
Yeah.
It is something we just cannot work around. I've tried to go to CDBG funds, community development block grant funds. They absolutely will not spend any money that digs, how is their terminology is, you cannot move dirt with CDBG funds in a floodway or within a 100-year floodplain.
And that's gonna be your problem anywhere there.
Yes.
Well, what's gonna prevent us from flushing $3 million down the river when a bad flood happens?
The wastewater treatment plant by ground has been raised up, but the rule doesn't allow that you can raise up above the floodway. You have to move it completely out under USDA or federal funds regulations. So it doesn't matter how high you would move it up out of the floodway height it is, that you can't have it there at all.
I understand, that's what I'm saying. If we invest $3 million in it
Uh-huh.
and it gets washed down the river, what good did we accomplish?
So I don't know if I can answer this correctly. Similar to Marshall, their wastewater treatment plant is in the middle of the river. The river comes up, but it doesn't ever encroach into the treatment plant because the facility has been burned, that it is above the flood heights that have ever.
So far.
So far, yeah. But it's been tested multiple times, so. But that's the best answer I can
Because
give.
the questions are gonna be asked, that's all.
That's the best answer. And wastewater treatment plants have to be near the river. That's, because you have to have your outflow.
That's a good presentation.
Need it?
Thank you, Karen.
You're
Anybody
very
else got
welcome.
anything?
But yeah, the raw data for the tourist and economic impact is there in that folder.
And just as a quick follow-up there, Commissioner Webb, because I think he brings good points to the table, is there is no alternative.
And
In
you
other
can't
words,
predict.
not one that's very feasible.
There's no alternative as far as moving that plant.
Right.
We gotta know where else to move
And there's
it.
no alternative to not fixing it as well.
And this is a town that has done wonderful for economic development. It is booming, it's busy all the time, and we want to make sure that they're hearing from us, all of us here, that we want that to continue.
Exactly.
And whatever that means, because, you know, it's one way or another, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it now, or we're gonna fix it when it's really bad. When we're on channel 13.
And I think we got the money now to help fix it.
My point is when the state asked us what was needed, we basically were given what we asked for. And now the price is triple of because there was, I mean, obviously we didn't know we didn't have all the data that we needed to know what to ask for.
Correct.
But we had the opportunity to ask for it, and we essentially appears we dropped the ball. But, I mean, I was told $1 million would fix the system. When we met with Representative
We
Glass,
asked-
but we were told $1 million would fix the system.
No, I can go back and get the email and I can send that to you. That, it was 2.5 to redo, to upgrade
To replace the system,
that sewer plant. It
right,
was 2.5.
right,
And then
to replace,
There was, I think the other 500 was for that, the Spring Street pump station and the erosion that's happening, along Spring Creek under the bridge, and there's a water line, a sewer line there that, the supports have, all the floods, the erosion has, almost taken one of those supports out. So, 500,000 was for that. So what I sent to, Representative Plath was it was for $3 million. And I truly appreciate the $1 million that we got.
Well, what do we got, was it 21 million came to the county? Is that not in a hole? 12 million for,
well, it was all earmarked for different projects.
It's in different boxes.
but what I'm saying is what's for infrastructure for water and sewer, was it not, does that not say 12 million?
That was for the project, that was for the 213 project.
But would 12 million do it?
No,
The 2 million can help here, 2.5 million, but 12 is not gonna put it from here to Marks Hill.
I don't follow your logic.
If they're giving us 12 million to do something we don't have the money for to complete, why can we not help water, sewer?
Because by using that logic, then you'll never do the 213 project either. Because that wasn't intended to take care of from A to Z. That was intended to get the county over the hump to where the county could take care of some business themselves. We can't, as a county, we can't go to the state with our hand out every time we want something. We need to be self-sufficient to a certain degree.
Yeah, but we got a problem down here, and you haven't even stuck a shovel in the ground out here. So we just turn our back on them and say, forget this, do the best
I
you
think
I
can.
don't think anybody turned their back
Yeah, I
on
think
them.
that's
They already got
unfair
it.
because
Well, that's my
Commissioner
heart.
Webb was the one who went to bat for the money we got. I think it's his complaint is we should have asked for more because we needed more. Is that a fair assessment? Obviously, they have a need, and the Representative Pless and Senator Heiss and everybody that went to the bat for us.
Well,
to
it
get funding,
goes
we
all
just
the way to
need
the governor's office. It's just not them.
We just
You know, it
need
has
to-
be a budget thing.
Yeah, you're gonna interrupt me.
Well, I'm just saying,
Let me finish.
you go ahead.
We just need to, we've heard the request, and there's an obvious need. We have funding to meet that need and to expand on other projects. We just need to work through that. I don't think there's anybody on this board that would not want to see Hot Springs, especially while we have sufficient funding to not only fix a little problem, but maybe put them in place where they have a long-term solution for 20 or 30 years, because they're not gonna have the financial resource to do it, and use some of that funding towards it. We'll just have to work
That's
through
what I'm
that.
talking about, Michael, but what we're here is, we're just trying to beat them up over this money that we have available.
Nobody's beating anybody up. I'm asking questions.
Well,
I'm not beating anyone up.
yeah, but the question you're asking,
Okay, gentlemen, we are going to be discussing a little later. We have just gotten the regulations on how we can spend our 2.2 and 4.2 that are the other monies that we know we've already received, 2.2 million. And we've set aside 1 million of that for COVID. We did that several months ago. I'm going to be discussing some of those regulations. That information was pushed out to you just in the last couple of days, and by email, okay? So this is just a simple fact that we have another pot of money that is not the state money that we're talking about here. It is a much more limited source of money, but that money, from what we can determine, and it's still a work in progress, Karen, I'll talk about it again today. We do know that we can, we feel very confident, Donnie and I talked about this yesterday, for COVID reimbursements back to us immediately. But that is another pot. It is currently 2.2 million that's sitting in an investment account we've already received. We get another 2.2 plus some federal money that we've yet to be determined how much, but would be at least another 2.2 million later this year. And it would appear, don't know for sure, so please don't print this as an absolute concrete fact, that we can also spend portions of that money on infrastructure, as we can on premium pay, as we can on other items. And we've been holding to get the final, regulations, so we know what to do with that money. So there is another pot of federal money, okay? And that could be another possible source to blend these monies. And I think all of us agree that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to wisely invest all of these funds that we have been so graciously provided by all sorts of ways, and to leverage that money. And hopefully we can leverage it, and there it comes back to other sources and how we could match and marry. But you heard me make this argument when we were talking about Golden Leaf. And we put 3 projects out to Golden Leaf, one of which was a pretty long stretch. I'm getting a little bit ahead of where I'm at tonight, but we have 3 of the final 16 Golden Leaf projects in Western North Carolina that have moved forward. And so, the need is clearly there. I want to appreciate the town of Hot Springs for speaking up and asserting themselves. And I think that this board will work very hard to do everything we can to share the wealth. Okay? So
It's good timing for it.
and thank you guys again for coming, and we will work with you in a variety of ways to help you get that sewer system fixed. Okay?
We hear you.
thank you.
We appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is Ms. Carrie Ledford.
Eric,
Good evening, gentlemen.
Here.
It's a tough act to follow, I'm just, please be kind.
We'll do well.
Before you, find budget amendment number 7. This amendment records additional funds received by both your Parks and Recreation and your Health Department. The Parks and Recreation received a grant from Madison County Tourism and Development Association in the amount of $60,000. These funds are restricted for use at Barnard Park only. Your Health Department has secured additional funding for 2 separate AA grants, both relating to COVID-19. That information is with your backup for this amendment. You'll also see the recording of additional revenue from the sale of surplus property. The county has sold 5 vehicles in the amount of the $2,500 that you see there. Also included is the recording of donated funds that our Sheriff's Department raised to help with the tornado victims in Kentucky. As of December 31st, almost $5,000 has been donated for this cause. The sheriff has requested funds for a purchase of additional vehicle, and that amount is reflected in this amendment with funds coming from your contingency. Find and also the recording of additional revenue generated by the quarter-cent sales tax in the amount of $44,571.02. And these funds will be distributed to the Board of Education pending your approval of this amendment.
Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve budget number 7.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, item B, you'll see December's financial reports. On the top of the first page, you'll see that we are 50% through FY22. On the second page, you'll see that for all funds, we've received 65.44% of our revenue, and our expenses are at 41.86%. And that 65.44 is typical since we have collected some taxes.
Deal.
You feel comfortable where we are right now?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, thank you.
Got the same place we was at last year?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I just want to back up just a little bit. As far as vehicles go, I was kind of under the impression there was going to be some discussion about appropriating for vehicles considering the timeline. It takes 7 months to get one now, and we had opportunity to maybe.
If you get it in 7 months.
Is that what I heard in that, or is that just a line item?
What this will do, this will allow the immediate purchase of the 2 vehicles that are ready to be delivered.
Right.
Those vehicles are on the old state contract, which is several $1,000s per vehicle, less than even the vehicle we have on order that we have no idea when we will see it. And so the reallocation with some of the money that was already in the sheriff's budget, plus some additional funds that came out of the sheriff's budget, and then we took the balance out of contingency. But we're buying 2 cars that we can get now. We know we can get them. They're almost certainly not going to be, at least for the foreseeable future, any cheaper, and probably it's very possible we may not see the 1 car we already have ordered for the rest of this year. So it was a good opportunity. These vehicles were purchased or ordered by someone else who was unable or chose not to get them. And that will allow us to do this. I believe it's a wise investment, and we'll fill that need immediately, and we will continue to monitor the vehicles. We, when we get the back end of this chip bubble, we've got some other vehicles that are in the budget for other departments that at this point we are holding on because, quite frankly, we don't need them at this point. But hopefully at the back end of this bubble, there might be an opportunity for the purchase of vehicles, a number of vehicles at a bargain. Because we're going to have, as Matt and I discussed this morning, 20s, 21s, 22s. The manufacturers are sitting with fields of them that they can't push out because they don't have the computers in them. So hopefully we will monitor and do the best we can to get the best prices we can for vehicles.
The reason I asked that is I realized we had to pull some money out of contingency to kind of offset that. I don't remember how much it was, but 44,000 that was unplanned for. And I'm going to reiterate what I reiterated in the last budget cycle, and I reiterated an email from 2014 to the then county manager and board, is that we have really got to think about developing a strategic capital outlay plan for yearly purchase of vehicles, not just for the sheriff's office, but for DSS, the health department. And there's enough data out there from all these different departments to tell us about how many vehicles they need per year, so that we don't get into a situation where our fleets are depleted, which about every department is, and we're running on vehicles, some of them as many as 225,000 miles on them, and rusty, that to develop a plan and allocate funding yearly so that all these departments have the financial support, instead of having to come to the board or use drug fund money or pull money from the contingency plan to be able to fund
Agreed.
those. So I want to encourage us to consider that this coming budget cycle.
And we start that out day after tomorrow.
I think that's the next idea. I agree with that 100%. If we can find out what our benchmark is, when the mileage on a car gets to a certain, we pull it off from there, and we have to have a plan to replace that car. And there are definitely studies that can be done that can show that. Other departments do it.
How many
I agree.
vehicles we got?
If not, we're spending on maintenance and upkeep and repairs, we end up spending more money, and plus we're driving some cars that probably aren't safe.
Yep.
We have made some pretty significant progress in the last couple of years, but the comprehensive move, and we certainly need, and that needs to be an item in this year's budget process. And it certainly can be. There's no reason it can't be. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next up is Miss Diana Norton, tax assessor.
Hello again.
I'm here for the December releases and refunds approval. Then we have an extra one to approve also at the bottom of the release one. Did you see that?
Just one at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the second year of the automatic, when we approved the tax exempt, or when the state granted the tax exempt status. And it is actually a removal of that bill. Yeah. Correct, Diane?
It's for the waste fees.
Yeah, but for the waste fees.
Yeah.
Yes. And the state granted that particular property tax exempt status.
Correct.
So where's that reflected in here?
It's in the red line. There were 2 years involved. We have released one before. And this will clean up the account by removing the other one. They were billed over a 2-year period. And we released one previously, and this is the release of the other year. If you need a hard copy, I've got you one.
That's all right, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm gonna let Matt, he's still trying to see his computer screen.
So that's a retroactive one, that one in red, is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Donnie, can we do that? I thought there was an issue about doing. Okay.
Chairman, if there's no other discussion, I move that we approve them as presented.
Matt still, you done that?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Next up is Norris,
All right,
County Manager. Go ahead.
we've got a bunch of stuff to move through fairly quickly, and then we've got some stuff that's going to take us a few minutes. In sort of generic updates, the folks who have been putting the documents in front of the courthouse for a long time have finally been back in touch again. Bless their soul, they simply got themselves overcommitted, and the virus and everything else hit in. And then the people who actually make the inserts have been having difficulty getting the materials to make the inserts. What else is new? So hopefully, though, that will begin to move forward again very quickly. We have this evening, and I sent this out very late to you because I got it from the community housing folks late in the afternoon. And it is in an email, but also it is in an item that you find laying on your table. And this is fundamentally what community housing is asking for is a donation toward their building purchase of the old Cinco de Mayo. Okay? I'm sorry, this thing, very difficult to talk through. They are in an immediate fundraising motion in order to close on this property. Now, it's out of cycle for our donations, okay? It's not in the budget. Of course, they didn't think they were going to buy this building, so they couldn't put it in the budget for this year. They have requested for us to consider a donation of $10,000 from the county. That's not a recommendation of mine. That's a matter for discussion. I know a number of people have already made substantial personal donations, and they are raising a lot of money doing that. If the county chose to contribute at this time, or if the county chose to contribute later, because they are also going to have significant renovation costs and other factors. But I'd like for you to take that under consideration, and we will put it on the work agenda in 2 weeks when we have our work session, and we will follow up on that. I would also encourage my fellow commissioners, if you've not already been in touch with the community housing folks, to reach out to them, see what they're planning to do on Walnut Creek. Talk to them. It's going to be a substantial investment, major reuse of that facility, and they do a lot of good in the community. And we could also solve that problem with a few more $500 checks or $1,000 donations. We can fill that gap. This is a very worthy cause, and we have a lot of good people in this community that help do a lot of those good, worthy causes. But we will follow up on that at our work session. Okay. Update on Beach Glen. We are moving forward. We are having one heck of a time getting bids for the removal. Not just the matter of the cost. I think that everybody who's busy is busy and doesn't want maybe what they would almost think of as a nuisance project. So if there's anybody within the sound of my voice or the ears and eyes of the internet that would like to bid on the removal of the old house and helping us move forward with the Beach Glen Community Center project, please contact the county manager's office. And this is an open competitive process. But again, we would like to get on with that this winter. And we are just having one heck of a time getting people to put a bid in to take that out. Now, if you don't know what it really is, the county was fortunate enough to get what was the hole in the property at Beach Glen, which belonged to a lovely lady who flew in here from Seattle in her early 90s at Donnie's office over there that day, and basically for a very reasonable price gave the property to the Beach Glen Community Center, and then it became part of the county. Not a dollar of taxpayer money went into buying the house. The community purchased the house, and it was all private donations. But now we got it. We got to fix it. We'll fix it. And a lot of people have been working on it, Matt and I, and the various committees and all sorts of folks. And we got to get somebody to help us take it down. We thought at first we could burn it. Well, that don't work too well to burn that house in the Weaverville watershed. It would be all sorts of issues. We could burn it. I mean, If we in the end have to burn it, we will, but it's not a simple burn. So if we got somebody who would like to take it apart.
Or if there's a local fire bug that we're not.
Oh, yes. But again, seriously, we need some help, and that's already a really nice spot, and it's really going to be even nicer. Golden Leaf update. I jumped a little bit ahead of myself earlier. We have 3 of the second round 16 projects. So all 3 of the projects passed through. I don't know if we get 1, 2, or 3. But it's certainly, I think it's pretty high odds that 1 or 2, and who knows, maybe 3. Your odds of getting awarded by the second round go way up. And we will know in the early spring. And for those of you who are not familiar, one is the project here for the value-added kitchen. The other one is the introduction of certain construction trade skills project curriculum at Madison High School. And the third one is the completion of the Spring Creek Community Center. And just today, there was additional work that's being done on that, and AD Tech is helping us also. They are establishing that as a satellite location and documentation of that with their remote learning, and that will be another thing which hopefully will help get it funded. We have had to close most of the building for community services on Long Branch due to electrical issues. And again, we're having a terrible time getting a contractor to repair the building. So it has 2 electric services, and we have reduced and only now using the smaller portion of the building. It has not closed the meal site. We have moved food production to the jail. That's where we were producing all the meals for the county meal sites. So the meal sites have continued. Food is being done at the jail. The Marshall Walnut Meal site continues in what used to be the daycare portion of that building. So if you hear rumors that it's all shut down and everything, no, we've just consolidated and moved into a much smaller part of the building, and we will get it repaired. And the DSS board, just at our last meeting, Craig and I sat on that board, did the paperwork to Land of the Sky Regional Council for a special grant that we are pretty comfortable that we will get, which will pay for those repairs and renovations so that the county will not have to bear the cost of that, and provide some of the salaries and supports for our meal sites, so that hopefully we again will be able to do that and not have to tap the county coffers. There is a lot of information out there on the internet, and I would encourage people to find out from the Department of the Treasury, because this is key. Go to the Department of the Treasury and find out how we spend that at least $4.2 million that I briefly mentioned before. We have been waiting for months for the guidance that we literally just received within the last 36 hours. It's all out there on the internet. It says how we can spend that money. And this is from that first federal monies. And we do know that we can recover COVID expenses. We're quite confident, and we will systematically go through and do that. But also, this is a good matter of public record. We will clearly follow the law. We have employed a federal funds manager who will be helping us almost immediately get up to speed on this, and it looks like the timing's pretty good on when that person will be able to come to work and when we're going to be able to roll this money. So that timing works beautifully. But this is a matter of public record, and it's a good investment in the county, but everybody needs to know, and the guidelines are about as concrete as you can put out there. Okay? All right. Now, we have a report from our Veteran Service Officer. And let me get over to this. Hang on. For the record, We established the Veterans Service Office in 2018. Edwina Craig was employed at that time and has been the only person in that office. In 2018, she had an unduplicated count of 136 Madison County veterans who sought services. And that year, the total awards were $110,000 monthly, and monthly ongoing awards, $179,000. Well, in 2019, the number grew to 296. Fell back a little bit in 2020 to 233, and this last year, 21, she provided service to 491 Madison County veterans. That's a lot of people out of a population of 23,000. The bottom line, the total ongoing monthly income that has now been generated by that office right now is $1,027,728 every month in veterans benefits that are coming to residents of Madison County. That's an outstanding job, folks. And for the hundreds of veterans now who are receiving the benefits that they were due. So, Edwina, I hope you're watching. Okay. We also have, for your information, and I really appreciate Brooke's help on this, you will notice a maintenance mowing contract information and estimate handout. I'd like you to pull that out for a moment, please. Now, last year, we had quite a bit of a Chinese fire drill getting our mowing contract in place at the last minute. It worked, but we're not going to be there this year. And as we have discussed previously, we are going to consider having contracts for all of our mowing services. And this is an information packet that you have, and it's a result of quite a bit of homework. We currently contract Barnard Park, Beach Glen, Walnut, and Upper Laurel. And that contract cost was $18,160 for the last mowing season. For the most part, it actually, I think, worked better than I thought it was going to. It had a couple of quirks in it. Chris Maney was responsible for supervising it, and we had, I think, a good return on that investment. The county is still mowing a list of 13 other items. And this also needs to be a list that we will prune and look at. For example, the landfill collection centers and running a mowing crew all over the county. I already talked to Sam. Solid Waste needs to maintain those convenience centers. We are also mowing and taking care of way too much stuff. And we've been around, we're going to go around even more and take a look at how we can, by landscape and other items, reduce some of this mowing, and particularly the excessive weed eating that we have to do. We can do some measures, and we're not going to spray everything. But we're eating.
I was going to ask how much Roundup we could buy for $18,000.
Well, we've got issues with spraying too. There are all sorts of regulations. But if you'll notice, the contracting of mowing versus the cost of manpower, and we've talked about this because labor is very difficult to come by, and maintenance labor is exceptionally difficult to come by. And to have the amount of hours that our current maintenance staff is putting in mowing, when we've got a lot of people out there who are willing, they were last year, I think we'll get bids again. We don't have to put it all out to one person. We could basic, different parts and share the wealth again. But now these cost estimates were provided to us graciously by our current contractor. This is not a bid He simply went out, went to all the locations, and gave us what he said he thought would be a reasonable price, but that is not a bid. He knows that everything has to be bid out. But based on that, we have a formula and some pretty good information here. And it is very clear that if we contract this out, it is very likely that we will save money and free up a substantial amount of hours. Now, again, I would love for you gentlemen to analyze this, and if we agree that we want to put out a request for bids, we need to approve that at our January work session in 2 weeks. We'll be well ahead of schedule, and we can get that out there. We can get the bids back. And so this is good study information. And again, I want to thank our current contractor, and I want to thank Brooke for helping develop this information. And that will be on our work session agenda in 2 weeks. Okay? I get my bifocal and my cataract adjusted. I do have an appointment to have the cataract out the end of the month. All right. Moving down to county board appointments. Gentlemen will look at those. Again, I reviewed these with Mandy just this afternoon. You will notice at the bottom, the people who have applications that we have received. We reviewed the 2 individuals for the Board of Health are available and would like to be renewed. So if we want to start with the Board of Health, they're at the top.
Just those 2, correct?
Now, we do have other applications for the Board of Health, but those 2 have expressed interest in continuing on the Board of Health.
And I think it's worthy to note that those 2 positions, one is required by state rule to be a pharmacist.
Correct.
The other is required to be a registered nurse.
Yes, and these
I would
2.
say just, so I make a motion to leave it like it is.
Second motion.
Discussion, all in favor?
All right. The juvenile crime prevention individuals are also carryovers.
Do we know if, I noticed all these, the next 6 slots, have we confirmed with them that they will indeed serve again?
Yes. Yes.
So is there any change?
No, I mean, they're, yeah. Now, again, you see the other applications that we have got, but these folks have, so we can move to continue.
I make a motion that we continue on Tom Field, Sherry Holder, Robert Chambers,
Second.
Shane Cuthbert, Courtney Brown, and Dennis Coles.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Let me double check for a second, guys, check that absolutely sure.
All good people there.
Also, we have the new cash management policy. This has been reviewed by Carrie. It is actually her product. Connie has reviewed this. This is an essential part of us moving forward with good accounting practices and also moving forward with the expenditure of the federal funds. We will have one other piece of material we will need to approve at our work session.
Marshall, will this cover all the distribution of the COVID?
We have a couple of more pieces of work we need to do, but this is absolutely essential for us to do what we need to do to provide the finance office with the framework that we need. Carrie, would you like to make any other comment reference to this?
No, you did just fine, thank you.
Okay. Donnie? Okay. But it is an essential essential new policy. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, sir.
Okay, I move that we approve the new cash management policy.
Second. All in favor?
All right. I think at this point, we need to move to closed session for personnel, attorney-client privilege. I believe that will cover.
That will be 143-318, period 1184, 143-318, period 1185.
talking about an insurance claim, everybody. It's okay. Not talking county business.
What are we gonna do first? The,
I've got on here, let's do the interim tax administrator.
Chairman, I move that we appoint Diana as the interim tax administrator.
Second motion.
For the record, that's Diana Norton.
Yes,
Diana Norton.
I'm sorry. Diana Norton.
so got first, second, all in favor? All right.
The second issue would be, is there a motion to authorize premium pay for Caitlin Orr and Amanda Griffith in what amount?
$500.
$500 each.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, discussion? All right.
Do we need to explain the rest of that in any way?
And then the last motion would be, is there a motion to repost the county manager's position?
Motion. Second. Discussion. All in favor?
And as part of that, can we add on to that and to authorize Brooke to notify the
Yes.
candidates?
Yes,
Who made the motion?
I did.
I guess, is there a motion to adjourn?
That's good, Jim. Second. All in favor?